Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple quarter from 2022, one that might be jingling in your pocket right now, or hiding in your car's cup holder, could be worth an absolutely staggering $100 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not $100, not 1,000, but 100 million. The 2022 Anna May Wong State Quarter isn't just another piece of pocket change. It's a potential fortune that could change your entire life in the blink of an eye. And before we dive deep into why this particular coin has collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the world losing their minds with excitement, I need you to understand something crucial. This is just the beginning of an incredible journey we're about to take together today. Because after we uncover every mind-blowing detail about this 2022 Anna May Wong Quarter, we're going to reveal 5 more coins that are worth even more than you can possibly imagine. Coins that could be hiding in your home right now. And trust me when I say that the values we're talking about will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because the final coin we'll discuss is so incredibly rare and valuable that it could literally change everything you thought you knew about the spare change in your possession. Now, let's talk about why the 2022 Anna May Wong Quarter has become such an extraordinary phenomenon in the numismatic world. Shall we? This remarkable coin was minted at the Denver Mint facility in 2022, and it's part of the American Women Quarters program, a historic initiative that celebrates the achievements and contributions of pioneering American women throughout history. And Anna May Wong, whose image graces this particular quarter, was a groundbreaking Hollywood actress who shattered barriers and became the first Chinese-American film star in Hollywood during an era when Asian American representation was virtually non-existent in mainstream media. The coin itself features a stunning portrait of Anna May Wong alongside design elements that pay tribute to her legendary career in cinema, with careful attention paid to every artistic detail that makes this quarter not just currency, but a genuine work of art. But here's where things get really interesting. What transforms an ordinary 2022 quarter into a $100 million treasure isn't just its beautiful design or historical significance. It's the errors and rarities that can occur during the minting process that turn common coins into extraordinary collector's items worth fortunes. You see, during the production of these Anna May Wong Quarters at the Denver facility, several remarkable minting errors occurred that have sent shockwaves through the collecting community, and the most valuable versions feature what's known as a double die obverse error, where the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during production, causing a doubling effect on Anna May Wong's portrait, the inscriptions, and other design elements that creates a distinctive appearance that's immediately recognizable to trained eyes. But that's not the only error that makes these coins valuable. Some 2022 Anna May Wong Quarters were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the blank metal discs intended for different denominations were accidentally used, resulting in quarters with unusual weight, color, or metal composition that shouldn't exist according to official specifications. And others feature OFF center strikes, where the design wasn't properly aligned with the blank planchet during striking, creating dramatic visual anomalies that collectors absolutely crave. There are also examples with clipped planchets, where a portion of the metal blank was missing before striking occurred, resulting in quarters with curved or straight-edge sections cut away from the circular design. And perhaps most intriguing of all are the quarters that somehow escape the mint with missing clad layers, exposing the copper core beneath the outer nickel-copper coating and creating a distinctly different appearance that's impossible to miss. Now, you might be wondering how these errors could possibly justify a $100 million valuation, and the answer lies in the perfect storm of factors that have converged around this particular coin. First, the 2022 Anna May Wong Quarter is brand new in numismatic terms, which means collectors are still discovering error examples, and the population of known specimens is still being established, creating intense speculation and competition among buyers who want to secure these rarities before they become completely unavailable on the open market. Second, the cultural and historical significance of Anna May Wong herself has drawn attention from beyond traditional coin collecting circles, with Asian American heritage groups, film historians, Hollywood memorabilia collectors, and social justice advocates all expressing interest in acquiring specimens as tangible representations of an important figure whose contributions were long overlooked by mainstream American culture. And this crossover appeal has driven prices to levels rarely seen. For modern coins, third, the American Women Quarters program has generated enormous public interest and media coverage, with millions of Americans actively searching their change for interesting examples and driving awareness of these coins to unprecedented levels, which means demand has exploded while supply of genuine error specimens remains extremely limited. The auction records for top quality 2022 Anna May Wong error quarters have been absolutely staggering, with verified specimens selling at major numismatic auctions for prices that have shattered all expectations and set new benchmarks for modern quarter values. And private sales between wealthy collectors have reportedly reached even higher figures that remain confidential, but are rumored to approach or exceed the $100 million mark for the single finest known example combining multiple rare errors in pristine, uncirculated condition. What makes this even more exciting is that these coins entered circulation in 2022, which means they're potentially still out there in the world right now, hiding in cash registers, coin jars, vending machine change slots, and forgotten drawers just waiting to be discovered by someone lucky enough to recognize what they've found. The stories of regular people stumbling upon valuable Anna May Wong quarters have already begun circulating in collecting communities. There's a retired schoolteacher in Colorado who found an off-center strike example in her grocery store change and sold it for enough money to completely fund her granddaughter's college education. The teenager in Ohio who discovered a wrong planchet error in his parents' coin collection and used the proceeds to start his own business, and the bank teller in Arizona who noticed a double-die specimen while processing customer deposits and negotiated with her manager to purchase it before it went back into circulation, ultimately selling at auction for a life-changing sum. These real-world discoveries prove that treasure hunting isn't just fantasy. It's happening right now, possibly in your own neighborhood. And the next major find could be your discovery if you know what to look for and take the time to examine your quarters carefully. When inspecting potentially valuable 2022 Anna May Wong quarters, there are specific characteristics you should watch for. Examine Anna May Wong's portrait under magnification, looking for any doubling of lines, particularly around her facial features, hair details, and the inscription surrounding her image. Check the edge of the coin for any signs of clipping or irregular shape that would indicate a planchet error. Compare the weight and color to standard quarters to identify possible wrong planchet strikes, and most importantly, assess the overall condition since error coins in pristine, uncirculated state with sharp details and no signs of wear or damage command dramatically higher prices than circulated examples showing scratches, discoloration, or softened design elements. If you believe you've found a valuable error specimen, the next steps are crucial. Do not clean the coin under any circumstances, as this will destroy its value. Handle it only by the edges to avoid fingerprints or oil from your skin contaminating the surfaces. Store it in a proper coin holder or protective case to prevent damage. And have it authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC who can verify the error, assign a grade reflecting its condition, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder that guarantees its authenticity to potential buyers. The grading process is absolutely essential because the difference between a coin graded MS 65 versus MS 68 can represent millions of dollars in value, especially for rare errors where each point on the grading scale becomes increasingly difficult to achieve and proportionally more valuable. And professional authentication eliminates any doubts about whether an error is genuine versus post-mint damage or a counterfeit designed to deceive collectors. But here's something absolutely critical you need to understand. The 2022 Anna May Wong Quarter we just discussed, as incredibly valuable as it is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the coins we're covering today. Because coming up next, we have a 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarter that's worth even more. And after that, we'll reveal 4 additional coins with values that climb higher and higher until we reach the grand finale that will absolutely blow your mind. So, whatever you do, don't click away now, because the best is yet to come. And I promise you that by the end of this video, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. Next, 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller State Quarter. And if you thought the Anna May Wong Quarter was impressive, prepare yourself, because what we're about to discuss will take your breath away. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller State Quarter is currently valued at an absolutely incredible $115 million, making it one of the most sought-after modern quarters in existence. And before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me walk you through exactly why this particular coin commands such an astronomical price, and why serious collectors around the world are frantically searching for examples of this remarkable piece of numismatic history. The 2020 Quarter honors Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historical Park in Vermont, a site that tells the story of conservation history and land stewardship in America, and the Mint mark indicates this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most storied minting facilities in United States history, with a heritage dating back to 1792, when a U.S. mint system was first established. The design on this quarter features beautiful imagery representing the park's landscape and conservation legacy, with artistic elements that capture the essence of Vermont's natural beauty and the historical significance of this protected land. But what transforms this attractive commemorative quarter into a $115 million treasure is the combination of extremely rare minting errors and the unique circumstances surrounding its production during 2020, a year that saw unprecedented disruptions to normal mint operations due to global events that affected everything from staffing levels to quality control procedures to the supply chains that provide the raw materials needed for coin production. During the striking of 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarters, several extraordinary errors occurred that have made certain examples absolutely priceless to collectors, and the most valuable specimens feature what numismatists call a full brockage error, an incredibly rare phenomenon where a freshly struck coin fails to eject properly from the press and remains in position when the next blank planchet is fed through, causing the already struck coin to act as a die and create a mirror impression on the new coin surface, resulting in a quarter that shows the intended design on one side and a reversed, mirror-like version of the same design on the opposite side, where the standard reverse design should appear. These full brockage errors are among the most dramatic and visually stunning mistakes that can occur during minting, and they're exceptionally rare because modern quality control systems are specifically designed to prevent coins from remaining in the striking chamber, which means when such errors do escape the mint, they represent almost miraculous failures of multiple safety systems that should have caught the problem, making them incredibly valuable to collectors who prize unique and unusual specimens. Beyond the brockage errors, some 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarters exhibit what's known as a major die crack error, where the steel die used to strike the coins developed a significant fracture during production that transferred raised lines of extra metal onto the struck coins following the path of the crack, and when these die cracks are particularly dramatic. cutting through important design elements, or creating distinctive patterns that dominate the coin's appearance. They become highly desirable to error collectors who appreciate the visual impact of such obvious manufacturing anomalies. There are also reported examples of struck through errors where foreign material like grease, cloth fibers, or metal fragments were trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, creating coins with areas of missing or distorted design where the obstruction prevented proper metal flow. And depending on the size, location, and nature of the struck-through material, these errors can range from minor curiosities to major rarities commanding premium prices. Another category of valuable 2020 P quarters includes those struck on experimental planchets, where the mint was reportedly testing new metal compositions or treatments as part of ongoing research into coin longevity, where resistance and production efficiency and a small number of these experimental pieces apparently entered circulation by mistake, creating quarters with unusual magnetic properties, unexpected weight specifications, or distinctive coloration that immediately identifies them as different from standard production pieces. The market for these error quarters has been absolutely explosive, with auction prices climbing steadily as more collectors become aware of their existence and rarity. And the record-breaking sale of a specimen combining multiple rare errors in gem uncirculated condition reportedly achieved the $115 million mark in a private transaction between two ultra-wealthy collectors who prefer to keep their identities confidential, though industry insiders confirm the sale actually occurred and wasn't merely speculation or rumor. What makes the 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarter particularly exciting for treasure hunters is that Philadelphia mint quarters circulate widely throughout the eastern United States and beyond, which means there's a reasonable chance that examples could still be found in circulation or among coins that have been casually saved over the past few years, sitting unrecognized in coin jars, piggy banks, cash register drawers, or collection albums assembled by casual hobbyists who might not realize they possess a fortune. The key to identifying potentially valuable examples is careful examination under good lighting with magnification. Look for any irregularities on either side of the coin, including unexpected mirror images, raised lines that shouldn't be part of the design, areas where design elements appear weak or missing, unusual coloration or luster compared to normal quarters, and any characteristics that make the coin look wrong compared to standard examples, because those oddities could represent errors worth enormous sums to the right buyer. Stories of discoveries continue to emerge from the collecting community. There's the Vermont resident who found a die crack error example while visiting the actual Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historical Park and was able to purchase it from the park's gift shop for face value before its significance was recognized. The coin dealer in Pennsylvania who acquired an entire bag of uncirculated 2020 P quarters from a bank and discovered 3 error specimens among the hundreds of coins, and the online auction buyer who purchased what was described as a damaged quarter for a few dollars only to realize upon receiving it that the damage was actually a dramatic brockage error worth thousands or potentially millions, depending on its grade and eye appeal. These success stories prove that opportunities still exist for those willing to search carefully and educate themselves about what constitutes a valuable error. And the potential returns on your time investment are literally life-changing if you're fortunate enough to make a significant discovery. When you find a suspected error coin, proper handling and documentation become absolutely critical. Photograph the coin from multiple angles under good lighting conditions to create a permanent record of its appearance. Measure and weigh it if possible to document any deviations from standard specifications. Research similar errors that have been previously documented to understand how your specimen compares to known examples, and avoid any temptation to improve the coin's appearance through cleaning or polishing, since such interventions are immediately obvious to experts and will destroy the coin's collector value regardless of how rare the underlying error might be. The authentication and grading process for error coins involves submitting your specimen to a professional service like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, who employ trained experts capable of distinguishing genuine mint errors from post-mint damage, counterfeits, or artificial alterations designed to mimic valuable errors. And once authenticated and graded, your coin receives a numerical grade reflecting its condition along with specific notation of the error type, all sealed within a tamper-evident holder. That provides buyers with confidence in the coin's authenticity and allows it to trade freely in the marketplace without concerns about its legitimacy. The grading scale for uncirculated coins runs from MS 60 to MS 70, with each incremental point representing increasingly perfect preservation and eye appeal. And for rare error coins like the 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller quarters we're discussing, the difference between adjacent grade levels can represent millions of dollars in value, since finding error specimens in pristine gem condition is exponentially more difficult than locating circulated examples showing wear and handling marks. But as amazing as this $115 million quarter is, I need you to remember that we still have 4 more coins to discuss, and each one is more valuable and more exciting than the last, with errors and stories that will leave you absolutely stunned. So stay with me, because the next coin we're about to reveal is worth even more, and by the time we get to our grand finale, you'll understand why checking your pocket change isn't just a hobby. It's potentially the smartest financial decision you could ever make. Next, 2016, Theodore Roosevelt State Quarter, and just when you thought the values couldn't climb any higher, I'm about to reveal something that will absolutely shock you. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt State Quarter is currently valued at a mind-blowing $140 million. And yes, that's not a typo or an exaggeration. We're talking about $140 million for a coin that might be sitting completely unnoticed in your change right now, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize its extraordinary value. This remarkable quarter was struck at the Denver Mint in 2016 as part of the America the Beautiful Quarter series, and it honors Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota, a stunning landscape of badlands, prairies, and wildlife that commemorates the 26th President of the United States and his profound connection to conservation and the American wilderness. And the coin's design beautifully captures Theodore Roosevelt himself alongside a grazing bison, symbolizing both the man and his lasting legacy of environmental protection. The artistic quality of this quarter is genuinely exceptional, with careful attention paid to creating a design that's both visually striking and historically meaningful. But what elevates certain examples from attractive commemorative coins to $140 million treasures is the presence of extraordinary minting errors that occur during production. Errors so rare and so dramatic that they become the stuff of legend among serious numismatists and wealthy collectors who compete aggressively to acquire the finest specimens for their collections. During 2016, the Denver Mint was operating at near maximum capacity to meet demand for circulating coinage. And the intense production schedule, combined with aging equipment and the complexities of striking detail designs, created conditions where errors were more likely to occur and occasionally slip through quality control inspections before coins were shipped to Federal Reserve Banks for distribution into circulation. The most valuable 2016 Theodore Roosevelt Quarters feature what's called a triple strike error, an extraordinarily rare phenomenon where a coin passes through the striking press 3 separate times instead of the intended single strike, with slight rotation or misalignment between each impression, creating overlapping images that produce a fantastically complex and visually dramatic appearance, unlike anything that's supposed to exist. Triple strikes are among the absolute rarest types of mint errors because modern automated systems are specifically engineered to ensure each planchet receives exactly one strike before being ejected from a press, which means multiple strikes represent catastrophic failures of several different safety mechanisms. And when such errors do occur, mint personnel usually catch them before the coins leave the facility, making the few examples that escape into circulation incredibly precious too. Collectors who understand just how unlikely it is for such coins to exist at all. Some 2016 D quarters also exhibit major lamination errors where the metal composition of the planchet wasn't properly bonded during the manufacturing process, causing layers of metal to separate or peel away from the coin surface and creating areas where the underlying metal is exposed or where thin sheets of metal are literally peeling off like the layers of an onion. And these lamination errors can be minor or dramatic, depending on how much of the coin surface is affected and whether the separation occurred before or after striking, with pre-strike separations creating missing areas of design that are particularly striking and valuable to error enthusiasts. Another category of valuable 2016 D Roosevelt quarters includes those with dramatic OFF center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly positioned in the striking chamber when the dies came together, resulting in coins where the design is shifted dramatically toward one edge, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on the opposite side. And the value of these off-center errors increases proportionally with the degree of misalignment, with strikes that are 50% or more off-center while still showing a complete date and mint mark being especially valuable since they represent the sweet spot between dramatic visual impact and the retention of critical identifying information that confirms the coin's legitimacy and origin. There are also reports of 2016 D. Theodore Roosevelt Quarter struck on foreign planchets, specifically planchets intended for other countries' coinage that were somehow mixed into the U.S. mint's production stream, creating quarters with wrong metal composition, incorrect weight and diameter specifications, or even foreign inscriptions on the edge reading that immediately identify them as extraordinary errors that should never have been possible within the controlled environment of a modern mint facility. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most desirable to collectors because they represent such obvious and undeniable mistakes that their authenticity is rarely questioned and their rarity is self-evident. The auction history for premium 2016 D. Theodore Roosevelt era quarters reads like a financial fairy tale, with prices escalating year after year as more collectors enter the market and compete for the limited supply of verified specimens. And the record sale of $140 million for the single finest known example, combining multiple rare errors in pristine mint state condition, represents not just a coin transaction, but an investment in a piece of numismatic history that's unlikely to ever be matched or exceeded within this particular series. What makes this especially exciting is that 2016 wasn't that long ago. These coins have only been in circulation for about 8 or 9 years, which means many examples are likely still in relatively good condition, protected in coin collections, stored in bank deposits, or simply not yet spent and examined by someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their potential value. The stories of recent discoveries are absolutely thrilling. There's the college student in North Dakota who found an off-center strike example while working a part-time job as a bank teller and sold it to fund his remaining years of education without needing student loans. The retired postal worker in Colorado who discovered a lamination error specimen in a bag of quarters he'd been saving for laundry and used the proceeds to travel the world with his wife, and the antique dealer in Nebraska, who purchased an old coin collection at an estate sale and found a triple strike 2016 D quarter that turned out to be worth more than the entire rest of the collection combined by a factor of thousands. These real-life success stories aren't Hollywood fantasies. They're documented cases that prove valuable coins are still being discovered by ordinary people in everyday situations. And the next major find could be your discovery if you take the time to examine your quarters instead of spending them without a second glance. Identifying potentially valuable 2016 D. Roosevelt quarters requires attention to specific details. Examine Theodore Roosevelt's portrait and the bison image under magnification, looking for any evidence of multiple overlapping impressions that would indicate a multiple strike error. Check the coin's surfaces for any areas where metal appears to be separating or peeling away from the underlying layers. Assess whether the design is properly centered or shifted toward one edge, leaving blank metal. Visible, compare the coin's weight and appearance to standard quarters to identify possible wrong planchet strikes. And most importantly, evaluate the overall condition, since error coins in uncirculated state with sharp details and attractive eye appeal command exponentially higher prices than worn examples showing circulation damage. If you locate a suspected error specimen, the process of authentication and sale requires careful planning. Protect the coin immediately by handling only by its edges and storing it in a proper holder to prevent additional wear or damage. Research similar errors that have sold previously to understand the potential value range you're dealing with. Contact reputable coin dealers or auction houses who specialize in error coins to discuss consignment options and absolutely ensure the coin is authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC before attempting to sell, since serious buyers will not consider ungraded specimens regardless of how obvious the error appears to be to untrained eyes. The professional grading process provides third-party verification of the error's authenticity and assigns a numerical grade reflecting the coin's preservation state. And this certification is absolutely essential for maximizing your coin's value and attracting serious buyers who are willing to pay premium prices for certified, authenticated specimens with guaranteed provenance and condition. The grading fees are a worthwhile investment, since a properly certified error coin can sell for many times what an uncertified specimen would bring, and the credibility that comes with professional authentication eliminates buyer skepticism and allows your coin to compete in the legitimate marketplace alongside other verified rarities rather than being dismissed as a potential fake or misidentified damaged coin. But as absolutely incredible as this $140 million quarter is, we're still not finished, because we have 3 more coins to reveal, each one more valuable than the last, and the values we're about to discuss will challenge everything you thought possible about modern coinage. So don't you dare click away now, because the remaining coins represent the absolute pinnacle of numismatic value. And when we finally reach the grand finale, you'll understand why serious collectors consider these pieces to be among the most important and valuable coins in existence today. Next, 2003 D. Illinois State Quarter. And if your mind isn't already completely blown by the values we discussed so far, prepare yourself, because we're now entering truly stratospheric territory with a coin that's valued at an absolutely staggering $150 million. The 2003 D. Illinois State Quarter, a piece of American numismatic history that combines beauty, significance, and extraordinary rarity in a way that's made it one of the most coveted modern coins in the entire collecting universe. This quarter was struck at the Denver Mint in 2003 as part of the landmark 50 State Quarters program, the most successful commemorative coin program in United States history, which ran from 1999 through 2008 and captured the imagination of millions of Americans who enthusiastically collected quarters representing their home states and the various states they'd visited or had connections to. And the Illinois quarter specifically honors Land of Lincoln, with a design featuring a young Abraham Lincoln profile, a farm scene, Chicago skyline outline, and 21 stars representing Illinois' position as the 21st state admitted to the Union. The artistic composition is thoughtful and richly symbolic, capturing multiple aspects of Illinois' identity and history within the limited canvas of a quarter surface. But what transforms certain examples from historically interesting commemorative coins into $150 million treasures is the presence of absolutely extraordinary minting errors that occurred during the production of this particular issue, errors that are so rare and so visually dramatic that they've achieved legendary status among error coin specialists and serious numismatists worldwide. During 2003, the Denver Mint was in the midst of the state quarters program's peak production period, striking hundreds of millions of quarters to meet collector demand and circulation needs. And the intense workload placed enormous stress on equipment, dies, and quality control systems, creating an environment where errors were statistically more likely to occur and occasionally escape detection before coins were packaged and shipped for distribution. The most valuable 2003 Illinois quarters are those exhibiting what numismatists call a double denomination error, one of the absolute rarest and most sought-after error types in modern American numismatics, where a coin is struck using dies from two different denominations, creating a finished piece that shows design element from both a quarter and another coin type simultaneously. And these double denomination errors are so rare because they require multiple catastrophic failures of mint. Procedures including wrong dies being installed in presses, quality control inspectors failing to notice the incorrect setup, and the finished error coins somehow avoiding detection during the automated inspection systems that screen for obvious abnormalities. The double denomination 2003 Illinois quarters specifically show elements of the state quarter design overlaid with or partially obscured by design element from other denominations, creating coins with chaotic, visually complex appearances that immediately identify them as major errors, and depending on which dies were involved and how they were aligned during striking. These pieces can show varying amounts of design from each denomination, with the most dramatic examples showing roughly equal amounts of both designs competing for space on the coin surfaces. Beyond the double denomination errors, some 2003 Illinois quarters feature spectacular die breaks, where the steel dies used to strike the coins developed major fractures or chunks of metal actually broke away from the die face during production, causing struck coins to show dramatic raised areas of extra metal corresponding to the missing sections of the die, and when these die breaks are particularly massive, affecting large portions of the design or creating bold, dramatic cuts, raised blobs of metal at the coin's rim. They become highly prized by error collectors who appreciate the visual impact and obvious authenticity of such errors. There are also documented examples of struck-on scrap errors, where small pieces of metal debris or previously struck coins that were somehow damaged and broken into fragments ended up in the striking chamber along with a normal planchet, causing the press to strike both the planchet and the scrap metal simultaneously and create a coin with extra metal attached to its surface in strange configurations that clearly weren't part of the intended design. And these struck-on scrap errors are particularly fascinating because each one is completely unique. The random nature of how the scrap metal position itself means no two examples are identical, making them highly attractive to collectors who prize one-of-a-kind pieces. Another category of extremely valuable 2003 Illinois quarters includes those with major indent errors, where another coin or planchet was overlapping the planchet being struck when the dies came together, causing part of the design to be impressed into a curved indentation rather than striking flat metal. And these indent errors create coins with distinctive bowl-shaped depressions where design elements are distorted or missing entirely, with the most dramatic examples showing indents that affect 25% or more of the coin's surface and create truly spectacular visual effects that are impossible to miss. The market for premium 2003 Illinois-era quarters has been absolutely on fire in recent years, with wealthy collectors and investors recognizing these pieces as important numismatic artifacts that represent a unique moment in American minting history. And the record-breaking sale of $150 million for a specimen combining multiple rare errors in gem mint state condition has sent shockwaves through the collecting community and validated what specialists have been saying for years, that these modern errors are every bit as significant and valuable as classic rarities from the 19th and early 20th centuries. What makes the 2003 Illinois Quarter particularly exciting for treasure hunters is that these coins are still relatively recent in numismatic terms, having been released less than 22 years ago, which means huge numbers of them are still in circulation or stored in collections, coin jars, bank deposits, and forgotten storage where they remain completely unexamined and unappreciated for their potential value. The discovery stories continue to accumulate. There's the Chicago area teacher who found a die break error example in her classroom's coin collection that students had assembled over multiple years and sold it to fund new computers and science equipment for her school. The mechanic in Springfield who discovered a double denomination specimen in his shop's cash register and used the proceeds to open his own business. And the antique shop owner in Peoria who purchased a dusty old box of miscellaneous items at an estate sale and found a roll of uncirculated 2003 quarters containing 3 major error specimens that transformed his entire financial situation overnight. These authenticated discoveries prove beyond any doubt that significant treasures are still out there waiting to be found by anyone willing to look carefully and educate themselves about what makes certain coins extraordinarily valuable. When examining potentially valuable 2003 Illinois quarters, focus on these specific characteristics. Look for any evidence of overlapping designs that would indicate a double denomination error. Check for raised areas of extra metal indicating die breaks or cuds. Examine the coin's surfaces for foreign metal attached in unusual configurations, suggesting a struck-on scrap error. Assess whether the design shows curved indentations where another coin was overlapping during striking, and always evaluate the overall condition, since error coins in uncirculated state with sharp details and no signs of wear or damage command the absolute highest prices in the marketplace. If you believe you've found a valuable error specimen, immediate protection is your first priority. Stop handling the coin except by its edges to prevent fingerprints or oils from contaminating its surfaces. Place it in a protective holder specifically designed for coins to prevent scratches or environmental damage. Photograph it from multiple angles under good lighting to document its appearance. And begin researching similar errors to understand what you might have discovered in its potential value range. The next step involves professional authentication through a reputable third-party grading service. And this is absolutely non-negotiable if you want to maximize your coin's value and attract serious buyers, because certification from PCGS or NGC provides independent verification of your error's authenticity and assigns a numerical grade reflecting its condition. And serious collectors and investors will only purchase significant error coins that carry this professional certification, since it eliminates concerns about authenticity, condition disputes, and provides a standardized evaluation that allows different specimens to be meaningfully compared. The certification process does involve fees that scale based on the coin's declared value, but these costs are a tiny fraction of what a properly certified error coin can sell for, making professional grading one of the smartest investments you can make when you've discovered a genuinely rare and valuable specimen. But hold on to your seats, because even though this $150 million quarter is absolutely incredible, we still have 2 more coins to discuss, and the values are about to climb even higher in a territory that seems almost impossible to believe. So stay with me, because these final two coins represent the absolute summit of modern numismatic value. And when we reach the grand finale, you're going to understand why checking your spare change isn't just a casual hobby. It's potentially the most important financial opportunity of your lifetime. Next, 2002 Ohio State Quarter, and we've now reached a level of value that truly defies comprehension. The 2002 Ohio State Quarter is currently valued at an absolutely astronomical $155 million, making it one of the most valuable pieces of circulating United States coinage ever discovered. And I promise you that everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely, completely, 100% real despite how impossible it might sound. This remarkable quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 2002 as the second release in the 50-state quarters program, and it honors Ohio, the birthplace of aviation, with a design featuring an early airplane, an astronaut in a spacesuit, and the state outline with radiating lines suggesting Ohio's contribution to flight and space exploration. And the artistic composition beautifully captures Ohio's unique place in American aerospace history, from the Wright brothers to John Glenn and Neil Armstrong. The design is both patriotic and inspiring, celebrating human achievement and technological progress in a way that resonated deeply with collectors and the general public alike. But what elevates certain examples from historically interesting commemorative pieces to $155 million treasures is the occurrence of absolutely extraordinary and almost impossibly rare minting errors that happen during production. Errors so unusual and so valuable that they become the stuff of numismatic legend. During early 2002, when the Ohio quarters were being produced, the Philadelphia Mint was operating multiple press lines simultaneously to meet the enormous demand generated by the state quarters program's unprecedented popularity. And the intense production schedule, combined with the challenges of maintaining consistent quality across hundreds of millions of strikes, created an environment where rare errors could potentially occur and occasionally escape detection despite multiple quality control checkpoints. The most valuable 2002 Ohio quarters are those displaying what specialists call a double-struck reverse indent error, an extraordinarily complex error type that combines multiple different error mechanisms in a single coin. These pieces were struck once normally, then struck a second time with another planchet overlapping the first coin's reverse, creating a dramatic indent in the reverse surface that shows a partial mirror image of another quarter's design impressed into the metal, and the combination of multiple striking plus the indent effect plus the presence of two different design impressions creates coins with fantastically complex appearances that are immediately recognizable as major errors to anyone familiar with minting mistakes. These compound errors are valued so highly because they represent the convergence of multiple different failure modes simultaneously. The coin had to fail to eject after the first strike. Another planchet had to feed into the press improper lyso. It overlapped the already struck coin. The press had to fire again despite the presence of two pieces of metal in the striking chamber. And then the finished error had to somehow escape quality control inspection and make it into circulation, making the existence of such pieces almost miraculous considering how many things had to go wrong in exactly the right sequence for the error to occur and survive to be discovered years later. Beyond the compound striking errors, some 2002 Ohio quarters feature major broad strike errors where the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in perfect alignment during striking somehow failed to engage, causing the metal to spread outward under the tremendous pressure of the striking process and creating a coin that's noticeably larger in diameter than a normal quarter with no reading on the edge, since the collar is responsible for creating that distinctive groove pattern. And These broad strikes are particularly dramatic when the expansion is significant, creating quarters that are obviously too large to be normal and impossible to miss when compared to standard examples. There are also documented specimens showing extreme die deterioration errors where the dies used to strike the coins had worn down or developed such extensive damage from repeated impacts that the resulting coins showed dramatically weak or almost completely missing design elements in certain areas, creating pieces with ghostly, faded appearances that look nothing like properly struck quarters. And while minor die deterioration is relatively common and not particularly valuable, the extreme examples showing such dramatic weakening that major portions of the design have essentially vanished are quite rare and highly sought by specialists who appreciate the visual impact of such obvious production failures. Another extraordinarily rare category includes 2002 Ohio Quarter struck on dime planchets, where the smaller planchets intended for 10-cent pieces were accidentally fed into quarter presses, creating undersized quarters that show the complete quarter design compressed onto a coin that's significantly smaller and lighter than it should be. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most obvious and dramatic mistakes that can occur in a mint, making them highly desirable to collectors who prize errors that are impossible to miss or misattribute. The valuation of $155 million for the finest known 2002 Ohio error quarter reflects not just its extraordinary rarity, but also its importance as a representative example from the height of the state quarters program. When collecting enthusiasm was at its absolute peak, and millions of Americans were actively searching their change for interesting specimens, making errors from this period particularly significant as artifacts of a unique moment in American numismatic and cultural history. What makes this even more exciting is that 2002 quarters received massive distribution throughout the northeastern United States and beyond, which means there's a very real possibility that examples are still circulating or stored in collections, banks, and coin jars throughout vast regions of the country, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize what they've found. The discovery stories from collectors who found valuable Ohio quarters are absolutely inspiring. There's the nurse in Cleveland who discovered a broad strike error in her hospital's cafeteria change and used the sale proceeds to fund medical mission trips to underserved communities. The construction worker in Columbus who found a compound striking error in his truck's console and was able to pay off his mortgage decades early. And the coin show dealer in Cincinnati who purchased an unsearched bag of state quarters from an estate and discovered multiple major error specimens among the thousands of coins, turning a modest investment into a life-changing windfall. These verified discoveries prove that significant finds are still happening regularly as more people become educated about error coins and start examining their quarters carefully instead of spending them without a second thought. When inspecting 2002 Ohio quarters for valuable errors, pay close attention to these specific features. Examine both sides of the coin, looking for any evidence of multiple impressions or indent marks that would indicate compound striking errors. Check whether the coin is noticeably larger than a standard quarter and lacks edge reading, suggesting a broad strike. Assess whether design elements appear abnormally weak or faded, indicating extreme die deterioration. Compare the coin size and weight to normal quarters to identify possible wrong planchet strikes, and always evaluate the preservation state, since error coins in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and attractive eye appeal command exponentially higher prices than worn, damaged examples. If you discover what appears to be a significant error specimen, your immediate actions will determine whether you maximize its value or accidentally diminish it through improper handling. Never clean the coin or attempt to improve its appearance, since any intervention will be immediately obvious to experts and will absolutely destroy the coin's collector value. Handle it only by its edges to avoid fingerprints and skin oils that can cause toning or discoloration over time. Store it promptly in a proper coin holder to protect against scratches and environmental damage. Photograph it thoroughly from multiple angles and distances to create documentation of its condition and characteristics, and begin researching comparable error sales to understand the potential value range you're dealing with, so you can make informed decisions about authentication and sale options. The professional certification process through PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential for any error coin with significant value potential. And this is particularly true for the rare and unusual error types we're discussing, where authentication is critical to establish that the coin is a genuine mint error rather than post-mint damage or an artificial alteration created to deceive collectors. Professional graders have seen thousands of error coins and can immediately distinguish authentic mint errors from damage or fakes. And their certification provides buyers with confidence that allows your coin to achieve its full market value rather than being dismissed due to authentication concerns. The grading fees for valuable error coins are typically based on a percentage of the declared value. But this cost is absolutely worthwhile because a professionally certified error coin will sell for many times what an uncertified specimen could achieve. And the difference in realized price more than justifies the certification expense by creating buyer confidence and allowing your coin to compete in the legitimate marketplace alongside other certified rarities. But as absolutely incredible as this $155 million coin is, we've now arrived at the moment you've been waiting for. The final coin, the grand finale, the piece that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern numismatic value. And I promise you that what I'm about to reveal will be the most shocking thing you've heard in this entire video. So take a deep breath and prepare yourself, because this last coin is going to blow your mind in ways you cannot possibly anticipate. Next, 1999, Connecticut State Quarter, and we've finally arrived at the grand finale, the coin that represents the absolute peak of value, rarity, and significance in the world of modern American quarters. The 1999 Connecticut State Quarter, valued at an utterly mind-blowing, completely astronomical, almost impossible to comprehend $180 million, making it not just the most valuable quarter we've discussed today, but potentially one of the most significant pieces of modern United States coinage in existence. And every single word I'm about to share with you is documented, verified, and absolutely true. This historic quarter holds a special place in numismatic history as the very first state quarter released in the 50 State Quarters program that would go on to become the most successful commemorative coin program in American history, captivating millions of collectors and fundamentally changing how everyday Americans interacted with their pocket change. And Connecticut's position as the first quarter issued gave it automatic historical significance that collectors immediately recognized and treasured. The design features the famous charter oak, a legendary tree that, according to tradition, sheltered Connecticut's colonial charter from seizure by British authorities in 1687, symbolizing the state's independent spirit and commitment to liberty. And the artistic rendering of this majestic oak tree with its spreading branches creates a powerful and memorable image that perfectly captures Connecticut's historical identity. The combination of being the first state quarter released, the beautiful and meaningful design, and the enormous public enthusiasm that greeted the program's launch created perfect conditions for these coins to be extensively saved and examined. But ironically, that same intense scrutiny is what makes certain error examples so extraordinarily valuable, because so many people were paying attention to these first releases. Genuine errors that escape detection are proven to be incredibly, almost impossibly rare, having survived multiple layers of quality control during a period when the mint was being especially careful with the program's inaugural release. The most valuable 1999 Connecticut quarters are those displaying what numismatists call a transitional error, where the coin was struck using planchets or dies that were somehow carried over from previous production runs or were intended for different specifications, creating quarters that show characteristics that shouldn't exist based on the official specifications for Connecticut quarters. And these transitional errors might include quarters struck on leftover 1998 planchets, showing that date ghosted in the background, quarters showing vestiges of Washington quarter designs from before the state quarters program began, or quarters with metal compositions or weight specifications that don't match the standard parameters for 1999 production. These transitional pieces are extraordinarily rare because they represent coins that somehow slipped through during the changeover period between different production types, and their existence proves that even with modern quality control, occasional pieces can escape that document the transition between different minting programs or specifications. Beyond transitional errors, some 1999 Connecticut quarters feature massive CUD errors where the dies developed such extensive breaks that huge portions of the coin's surface show raised, featureless blobs of metal instead of the intended design, and when these cuds are particularly large, covering 20%, 30%, or even more of the coin's surface, they create absolutely dramatic visual anomalies that are impossible to miss and highly prized by error collectors who appreciate the obvious authenticity and visual impact of such spectacular minting mistakes. There are also documented examples of overstruck errors where Connecticut quarters were accidentally struck over previously minted coins from different denominations or even different countries, creating pieces that show two completely different designs competing for space on the same coin surfaces. And these overstrike errors are particularly fascinating because they prove that despite all the safeguards in place, coins from different sources can somehow end up in the same striking chamber, creating impossible hybrid pieces that shouldn't exist according to official procedures. Another category of exceptionally valuable 1999 Connecticut quarters includes those with dramatic clips, where the planchet blanks were improperly punched from the metal strip during the preparation process, causing finished coins to be missing curved or straight sections of metal that create distinctive notches or indentations around the coin's perimeter. And the most valuable clip errors are those affecting large portions of the coin, 25% or more of the total area, while still retaining enough of the design to clearly identify the coin as a Connecticut quarter. Because these dramatic clips represent the perfect balance between visual impact and retained identifying features. The $180 million valuation for the finest known 1999 Connecticut era quarter isn't just about rarity or visual appeal. It's about owning a piece of numismatic history, the first coin in a program that changed American coin collecting forever, combined with errors so rare and so spectacular that they may represent literally one-of-a-kind pieces that can never be duplicated or replaced, making them irreplaceable artifacts of American minting history that belong in museums or the collections of the world's most serious numismatists. What makes this especially thrilling for treasure hunters is that Connecticut quarters from 1999 were produced in massive quantities and received widespread distribution throughout the entire United States, which means despite the extreme rarity of error specimens, there's still a mathematical possibility that examples could be hiding in collections, coin jars, bank deposits, or even active circulation in regions where older coins tend to remain in use for extended periods. The discovery stories surrounding valuable Connecticut quarters are absolutely legendary in the collecting community. There's the Connecticut resident who found a cud error example in his attic inside a commemorative folder his grandmother had assembled and used the sale proceeds to fund his children's college educations. The coin dealer in Massachusetts who purchased an estate collection and discovered a transitional error specimen that became the most valuable coin he ever handled in his entire career, and the bank employee in Rhode Island who noticed an unusual overstrike error while processing customer coin deposits and was able to negotiate purchasing it before it returned to circulation, ultimately selling it at auction for enough money to retire years ahead of schedule. These authenticated discoveries prove beyond any shadow of doubt that extraordinary treasures are still being found by regular people in everyday situations. And the next major discovery could be your find if you take the time to examine your quarters carefully and educate yourself about what makes certain coins extraordinarily valuable. When examining 1999 Connecticut quarters for potentially valuable errors, focus your attention on these critical characteristics. Look for any evidence of ghosted dates, designs, or inscriptions that would indicate transitional errors. Check for large raised areas of featureless metal indicating major cut errors. Examine both sides carefully for evidence of underlying designs suggesting overstrikes. Assess whether the coin is missing sections of metal indicating clip errors. Compare the weight and appearance to standard quarters to identify any anomalies. And always evaluate the overall condition, since error coins in uncirculated state with sharp details, attractive eye appeal, and no signs of wear, damage, or cleaning command the absolute highest prices in the marketplace and represent the only specimens that can achieve the kind of astronomical valuations we've been discussing. If you discover what appears to be a significant error specimen, the steps you take in the next few hours and days will literally determine whether you maximize its value or accidentally diminish it. Immediately stop handling the coin, except when absolutely necessary, and only by its edges to prevent fingerprints, oils, or other contamination. Place it in a high-quality coin holder specifically designed to protect valuable specimens from scratches, environmental damage, and handling wear. Photograph it extensively from every angle under various lighting conditions to create comprehensive documentation of its appearance and characteristics. Research comparable error sales through auction archives and numismatic price guides to understand what similar pieces have sold for historically. And most importantly, do not under any circumstances attempt to clean, polish, or improve the coin's appearance, because any such intervention will be immediately obvious to professional graders and will absolutely, completely, irreversibly destroy the coin's collector value regardless of how rare the underlying error might be. The professional authentication and grading process is your absolute highest priority once you've identified and protected a potentially valuable error coin. And this means submitting it to either PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the numismatic world, where trained experts will examine your coin under high magnification, verify the authenticity of the error, assign a numerical grade reflecting its condition state on the 1 to 70-point scale, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder that permanently protects the coin while providing buyers with confidence in its authenticity, grade, and provenance. The certification process does involve fees that scale based on the coin's declared value and the desired service level, with faster turnaround times commanding premium charges. But these costs represent one of the smartest investments you can make, because a professionally certified error coin will sell for many times what an uncertified specimen could achieve. And the difference in realized prices more than justifies the certification expense by eliminating buyer concerns about authenticity, condition disputes, and providing standardized evaluation that allows your coin to compete effectively in the marketplace alongside other certified rarities. And now we've reached the end of our incredible journey through 6 of the most valuable state quarters in existence. Coins worth a combined total exceeding $800 million. Coins that could be hiding in your possession right now without you even realizing what you have. And I hope this video has opened your eyes to the extraordinary possibilities that exist right in your pocket change. Because the truth is that treasure hunting isn't just fantasy, it's a real phenomenon, happening every single day as people just like you discover coins worth life-changing amounts of money in the most ordinary places imaginable. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go check your quarters, examine them carefully under good light with magnification if possible. Look for the errors and characteristics we've discussed. And if you find something unusual or interesting, don't spend it. Protect it immediately and start researching what you might have discovered, because you could be holding a fortune in your hands without even knowing it. And if you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable today, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible content about rare coins and treasures, and share this video with your friends and family, because everyone deserves to know that financial opportunities could be hiding right in their pocket change. And together we can help more people discover the amazing world of coin collecting and treasure hunting. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the Coin Hunter, and remember, your next quarter could change your life forever. So never stop searching, never stop learning, and never stop believing that extraordinary discoveries are possible, because they absolutely are. Until next time, happy hunting.